sounds from the rhythm underground. Welcome to the We Love Guitar Nerds podcast, your place for all things guitar. We have your interviews, we have your lessons, your boomer discussions, and your verbal rabble-rousings. So please hit subscribe, share, and like to join our constantly growing musical community. Guitar nerds, with me right now I have Sav Ramey. So he's a lifetime musician, but he's been a front man like his whole life. Like when I say his whole life. So what I want to do is I want to get your story. I want to see where you came from. I want to, and we're going to talk about what kind of cool things you got going on right now. So that is the most exciting stuff. Right, but we want to. Where did this whole music thing? Tell everybody where your music started.
All right. Well, it goes back a while, but let's start basically in Eastern Kentucky. Believe it or not, my mom was. She was a big country singer that went out with all the big stars of the time. So at 5 years old, she stuck me out in front of her. And we basically toured all over the country with, everybody from Merle Haggard to Chuck Berry, basically. I mean, so from like 5 to 9 years old, I was on the road opening up for just about anybody that was anybody in the country music scene back at that time.
And Chuck Berry.
Yes, and Chuck Berry.
You're like 6 years old and you're opening for Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
What did your act look like back when you were 5 to 9?
Okay, well, I did a kind of a 50s act. So I basically did everything from a lot of Elvis Presley stuff and kind of back to the doo-wop era, I guess, if you want to say. Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis, all the way to Platters, I guess. I mean, it was just, yeah. And so basically it was kind of cool because I got to use everybody else's actual band. So let's say when I was out with Buck Owens, I used Buck Owens' band. That was my band. So it was all a bunch of super professional musicians.
Is this
so
the Buckaroos?
Cool. Yeah.
You had the Buckaroos were your backup band.
Yes, the Buckaroos were my backup band. As a matter of fact, I had at one time the Ohio Players were my backup band for about 5 or 6 months. Basically, let me think who else. Jerry Reed, his band was my backup band. Waylon Jennings was my band. I mean, you name it, I played with them.
That's nuts.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, especially at that age.
Yeah.
Because how do you top some of that though? That's and you did. You kept it going. You kept it going.
Yeah, we kept it going. And we did this for years and years and years until basically my mom, she kind of decided that she was done with the scene and so forth, and we have family ties, obviously, with Loretta Lynn. We have with Patty Loveless. Actually, Billy Ray Cyrus. They're all family members of ours.
Okay.
So that was how we were kind of able to, get in that, I guess. So yeah, it was a crazy time for a young kid.
So when did you start like? So you were a front man from like 5?
5 years old. Yeah.
Okay. So, and your mom coached you?
Yep, she did. Yeah, she coached me.
Okay. When did you start getting into like the rock stuff?
All right. So, being from Eastern Kentucky, I mean, it was pretty limited down there of what we were able to get musically, honestly. And so there was a record store, and it was called Ray's Music. And basically, you know, anything that you kind of wanted to get, he had. So I wandered in there and I saw a Kiss album, and I had been very sheltered as far as rock and roll, because being in the country scene. Well, I saw this album and I was like, oh, well, what is this about?
Mm-hmm.
So of course I buy it, I listen to it, and I'm transformed immediately. I'm like,
Same.
no, this is what I want to do musically. I don't want to, I don't want to tour with Bobby Bear and Buck Owens and those guys anymore. I want to do
Mhm.
this. This is what I want to do, and that's what I did. So I started some, got some guys together and started some little garage sessions and so forth,
Mhm.
trying to reproduce this as it went on. I kind of got introduced to I think it was Cushman's rock concerts or
Yeah, yeah,
something
Don
like that.
Kirshner's.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, Don
and so
Kirshner's rock concert. Yeah.
started watching that, and I saw Rush. I saw several different just artists that just blew my mind. I had no clue that
Yeah.
this was the thing, and I was like, okay, this is definitely it. So
So how was that? How did your mom take to that?
well, she wasn't happy because she kind of had me, she kind of had me set up, to be
Yeah.
quite honest with
Mm-hmm.
you. I mean, I'm hanging with the biggest stars in country music at that time.
Yeah.
There was no bigger stars,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so she kind of thought she had done her job, and put me in a good place. And we'll revisit that in a little bit, because I actually did go back to
Mm-hmm.
Nashville many, many years later after I left Hollywood, California,
Yeah.
and uh, found success again, and then popped right back out of it. So it was just she did what she thought she was supposed to do, and then of course, I took my own way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you had to.
Yeah.
And hopefully she recognizes that.
Oh,
Recognizes that in time
in
after it
time.
all. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you get your garage bands. How old are you? How old are you when you had these? Like when you discovered this?
I was about 10.
All right. So
And
your first garage bands were at 10 years of age.
yeah, and everybody that was in the band was 26 plus years old.
Really?
So these guys were all veterans that were playing, uh, and that had been playing for a long time. And so the
How did you
band,
did you put the band together?
no, it's funny. My dad actually did. He was, he ran a coal company there, and so he had friends that worked under him and so forth, and they were like, hey, we have a band and we're looking for a singer, and my dad was, well, that's my son's been touring for 5 years now, and I don't think they realized I was 10, but
Yeah.
uh, but anywho, yeah. So he hooked that up, and I rolled in, and they were doing, they were doing AC/DC, they were doing some Kiss, they were doing some early Alice Cooper stuff, Edgar Winter, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and so I rolled in and started just cranking it out, and they were like, "This is unbelievable."
Yeah.
Uh, they're
Seriously.
like, "Oh," they're like, "Okay," you know.
When did you start playing with people your own age?
Probably 84, I would have to say. And
Okay.
that was after I had already basically moved back to Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. So you what were you born in Columbus?
Yes, I was born in
And
Columbus,
then
and
you
then we
moved
moved.
moved moved
Yeah,
to, okay.
yeah. Then we moved away, and for my dad's business, and then so basically 84. I came back to Columbus, got in a band, which we recorded a record. The name of the band was Love Gun, and so that was kind of my start back, I guess,
Okay.
as far as people my own age.
Okay.
But
So
I played, yeah.
anybody we know who was in Love Gun?
Well, uh, Mike Hogger was in that band. Steve
Okay.
DiMatteo was in that
Okay.
band. Dave Marafa was in that band. Just some Columbus guys, some local Columbus
Okay.
guys. And then uh, we went at it couple years, had we did a lot of touring, some pretty good success with the record, and then basically, you know how bands play out. They're a couple years, and then you seem to it's time to, for some reason, it's time to keep going. You know,
either you make it into the
yes,
next level,
or
or
you,
you're
yeah,
spinning your
or
wheels.
you know, it's kind of like a bad marriage sometimes.
Yeah,
After a couple of years, you think, well, maybe I should see something else, or
yeah,
I don't know. But
yeah.
anyhow, so then uh, I started a band called Nasty Action, and here in town, and a whole different lineup. The band was super, super successful in the Columbus area, and so we basically we had a Warrant vibe. Okay, so it wasn't, you know, metal. It was kind of a pop metal
Yeah,
type,
yeah.
hair metal kind of situation, and but but it was extremely successful here in Columbus. We were doing the 4 nights a week at the Alrosa Villa, the Thursday through Sunday. Uh, I think we ended up selling out the Alrosa about 40 times, if I'm not mistaken. And so it was a very successful band,
Yeah, yeah.
and we were just killing it. And so let's back up to, you know, basically 1988. I'll give you the quick story of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So 1988. And the way this band, we did our encores, Rod, was basically we had G strings and cowboy boots. Okay. And we kind of stole that from obviously the Godz and a band called Sweet Savage.
Okay,
And
that was my
that was,
next question.
yeah, so very successful band here also
Mm-hmm.
before us. And so we basically, we, that was our encore. You know, nobody else was doing that after those two guys kind of, or those two bands kind of left, you know. And so we just carried on the tradition. So
Yeah.
we just did just a great show on a Saturday night at the Alrosa Villa. Sold out. The place was going crazy. I go blowing through the backstage door to go to the dressing room, and there's Eric Moore sitting on the couch. There was a black couch in the dressing room forever and ever and ever. And so Eric Moore's sitting there. He's got a joint and a bottle of Jack Daniels in his hand,
Okay.
and he pats the seat beside him for me to come and sit down. Now, granted, I'm in a red G string and white cowboy boots. My hair is this big. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just okay. So I'm like, okay. So I go and I sit down beside him, and he goes, Sav. He's called me Sav, so I guess that's why I'm Sav now. I don't
Yeah.
know, but anyway, he says, Sav, meet me at Tommy Thunder's Tuesday, 6 o'clock.
So
And I'm
for everybody who doesn't know who Eric Moore is,
lead singer, frontman of the Godz for 45 years, right?
yeah, yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that. Okay. All right. So
and he
I
taught everybody how to do everything.
he taught everybody how to do everything,
Yeah.
right? So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, I'll meet you at Thunder Studio. So he lights the joint, passes it to me. I do not smoke marijuana at this time. But Eric Moore gave me a joint, and I thought, okay, I'm smoking marijuana tonight. And so I hit it. I took a hit off the bottle. He gets up, leaves everything there, gets up and walks out. Doesn't say another word. And I'm like, all right. So I show up Tuesday at Tommy Thunder Studio. I walk in. I'm like, so Eric, what are we doing? He said, we're writing 2 songs today, and we're recording them today. And I said, okay. So we did. We get done. He says, all right, I'm sending this out to my guys in Hollywood. You're leaving for Hollywood in 2 weeks. I'm like, okay. I'm leaving for Hollywood in 2 weeks. I said, you know, I'm like, Eric, I have a job. You know,
Uh-huh.
no, you're leaving for Hollywood in 2 weeks.
Did it work?
Huh?
Did it work? Did you leave for Tollywood?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Eric Moore says it. he,
Yeah.
he
So,
dictates it.
so anyway, so
It shall
I get,
be.
yeah, I get out there. Uh, he has me a nice apartment, a place to stay, right down the hill from the Whiskey a Go Go on San Vicente Boulevard. Really nice, uh, one bedroom kind of apartment situation. I get there. Uh, he comes also, takes me up to the Rainbow, introduces me to a few people, and you know, we're on. He comes back to Columbus, I assume, and so all these people, I start working with these people that he's introduced me to, and uh, we're recording songs, doing things, and one of the guys I ended up hooking up with, Rod, it's a very interesting situation, was a guy named Ariel Styles. Okay, and I'm not sure if that name is familiar to you or not, but he was the original guitar player for Pretty Boy Floyd.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
uh, so me and him start writing a bunch of songs together, and his studio. Then he goes back to Pretty Boy Floyd and for a little bit, and lo and behold, a lot of the songs that we had written together ended up on their first record. Let's just put
Okay.
it that way. So, uh, but by him going back, I had to do something. So I ended up uh, kind of entering or answering an ad out there in Rock City News, and I ended up getting in a band called Vaudville.
Okay.
Uh, again, a little late in the game by then, but it was just by this time it was 89. We're going into 89, almost 90. But this band, Rod, tore the shit out of the Sunset Strip for about 4 years. Uh, we were the biggest drawing band in Hollywood, California, at that time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of the record deals had been uh, already assigned and give away, and there was a lot of the Seattle movement that was coming in
Yeah. Yeah.
at that point of time as far as the Midwest movement goes,
Yeah.
But I mean, uh, anybody can look up, some of this stuff. I mean, Vaudeville. Uh, I mean, on all the magazines, sold out every single club out there multiple times. The Troubadour, the Roxy, the Whiskey a Go Go, Gazzari's, Red Light
Yeah.
District, Exposure 54. We did it all.
You could play
And
all. You could play all the rooms.
we played everywhere.
Okay.
And
There was no exclusivity.
no, we
Okay.
just smashed it. And, and so we ended up getting approached by, do you remember? It was a news anchor, Tom Brokaw. Do you remember that
Yeah.
name?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. His daughter was an A&R rep for A&M Records at that time.
Okay.
And so we basically we got asked to come to A&M and do basically a development deal with Vaudeville. And so we did that. Everything got shelved because obviously by this time we were looking at about 91, I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
91. And so
Which was
everything,
like Nevermind came out.
never mind.
Yeah.
Exactly
That blew the
right.
doors off of everything.
Yeah, we can't, this is not going to sell in Iowa right now, so, which is
Which is
fine.
kind of weird. If you gotta think back. That is kind of weird how it was
Yeah,
deserted overnight.
overnight. And it was
Yeah.
amazing, but we were still playing you know, it's kind of crazy because for people who haven't been to Hollywood, if you haven't been to the Whiskey or you haven't been to the Troubadour or so forth like that, I mean, the videos you see and all this, you would think that the clubs are the Alrosa. You know, they're not. They're uh, 300 to 500 seaters at best.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, you never really see that from the videos and stuff you see. But still, at that time, uh, a lot of bands they couldn't draw a crowd with a crayon,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we're
yeah.
still, yeah, and we're still got people lined up a half a mile down the Sunset Boulevard to see this
So
band.
what about that band drew the people?
I don't know. We had a very, very, if you look up or get on my Reverb Nation or whatever like that and kind of and take a listen to a lot of the music, it was compared to the music was compared to the first Skid Row record. So
Okay.
it just had a really raw, this really raw rock sound, I guess that still drew people.
Hmm.
And we started out with a very glam hair metal look, but then obviously, that toned down quite a bit uh,
Hmm.
after a while. That just wasn't a thing after the big success of you got to figure Guns N' Roses and Skid Row and bands like that. That kind of took that Poison and early Motley look, early Rat look. It kind of took that away,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
which yeah,
if that didn't completely took it away, when once grunge starts infiltrating.
that really took it away. And it
Yeah.
was really funny too, because I had a ton of friends out there, obviously in LA, that made that transformation. They
Well,
they
Shane
cut
Hunter.
their hair. Yeah, they cut their hair off.
Hmm.
They went with the flannels. They and you know it didn't really do any of them any good.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but whatever. I
yeah.
didn't. I stayed true.
Yeah.
I've always stayed true.
That's all you can.
Hmm.
You can only be yourself. You can only be
So,
yourself. So Vaudeville was the Vaudeville. What happened with them?
well,
So you got the
we just
development deal, and then
yeah,
and
and
it was
so
shelved.
basically, once we figured out that there was just possibly no way to get this record out, to get these videos out, to get anything out, then we, we conceded. We
Okay.
kind of was like, okay, we're done. I mean, uh, uh, Hollywood costs a lot of money, man, to live in, and when you're not able to tour and make money, you either have to get a job or you have to stop playing rock and roll and do something else. And that's what happened. We basically got to the point to where you know uh, we couldn't afford to be there
Yeah, yeah.
anymore.
Was
Nobody
everybody?
was.
Was it a band of transplants?
Yeah. So
Everybody was a transplant. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So,
So,
what happened after vaudeville? Did you stay?
no, I came back to Columbus, uh, and when I got to Columbus, I decided, well, you know, rock and roll's the problem. It's not me. I'm fine. It's got to be rock and roll. That's got to be what's going on here, right? So, I mean, so I decided, okay, I'm going back to Nashville. So I'll go ahead and turn back into, I'll put my cowboy hat back on and my boots, and I'm going to head back to Nashville and continue what I was doing when I was a kid. So I did. I went down there, hooked up with a few people, and basically I was doing a place called the Bluebird Cafe. I was
Hmm.
basically there uh, about every week doing a round with a bunch of songwriters and uh, everything was going great, and getting asked to do shows again and so
Hmm.
forth, and started meeting with management. I started meeting with different people. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting with a super country star named Barbra Mandrell. Okay. And she had a management company at that time, and so forth. And she was very interested in signing me back on to be
Hmm.
the country guy again, you know. And I started digging into a lot of this stuff, man, and it was exactly no different than everything I was going through in California.
Okay.
Everybody just had an accent,
Oh,
but it was
yeah.
okay, but it was the same stuff, and I'm just like, uh, I don't know. I just don't know if I can if I'm going to be able to do this again for a minute, because, uh, you know, going backwards a little bit, okay, I I didn't just do the California life as far as music and stuff, I did the California Life. I went there. Okay, when I went there full on. I got drinking, the drugs, the everything that you could possibly do. I went full in with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a bit of a mess in California or in Nashville. So
Okay.
still trying to get everything figured out.
Yeah.
So I
How
thought,
old are you? You're like mid-20s at this point?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm like, so I guess state of mind wise, I just felt like I didn't have anything to offer anymore because I was a wreck. And, you know, so basically I said, I just think I should quit. I should just be done. I should retire. So I came back to Columbus, went in rehab, got myself all cleaned up and so forth, and then uh, got married and started having kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and so that kind of fast forwards from 94 to about 2004. I didn't do anything,
Okay.
and I was like, nah, I'm just done. Then 2004 comes along, and and uh, I'm itching again. Once you get this in you, you just can't get
Mm-hmm.
it out of you, you know. And I'm like, I got to do something else, man. I got to get back in this situation. So uh, I dyed my hair jet black, and I was like, I'm going to do a tribute to probably one of my favorite of all time singers.
Mm-hmm.
So I started a Alice Cooper tribute called
Okay.
Nightmare.
Wow.
And this thing was gigantic. I mean, uh, all the props, everything. I
Uh-huh.
mean, and we took this thing on the road, and it was it was really really good show, man. And there's some pictures on Facebook and
Yeah.
different things of me doing the Cooper thing, and you know, uh, it was a blast. But what it did for me was made me realize that I'm an original artist. I like writing songs. I
Yeah.
like performing my songs, and so all it did was give me a little bit bigger itch to get back out.
Yeah.
And so I did, and so I basically then after that I hooked up with a couple of guys. It was the ex guitar player from Brittany Fox, the ex drummer from the Bullet Boys, and I moved to Long Island, New York, and we started a band called Pink Velvet Krush,
Okay.
and uh, we did a record. We did, oh God, a few years of touring, and we still do shows. We just did
Mhm.
Rock the Block, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a
So this was Bullet Boy. Who's the other? Bullet Boys
Brittany
and
Fox,
okay. So which one from Brittany Fox?
Greg Picari.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, uh, so basically, our show consisted of our record, obviously the songs that we wrote, and our encore consisted of a couple songs from the bands of the guys that were in the bands.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pretty cool show. I mean, a lot of people dug it. We did, Monsters of Rock, pre-party. We did a bunch of stuff with that band, and toured a lot. And we were under the label of Highball, which was Bill Shavis, his label.
Okay.
And so basically, we were on that label for I don't know a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
And then uh, very successful band, very fun, very
So
successful.
you were this whole time you were you were just the front man
Yes,
in
just
all
the
these
front.
in all these bands because I know you.
Everything. I have basically always been just the front man.
Okay.
on everything.
Okay.
And then so that I think we quit actually touring. I want to say in 17, Rod. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it was around 17 when we quit, when we stopped touring with
How
that
did you
band.
how did you balance all this? Because I know you have a side gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
How do you
well,
how do you balance all that?
well, you don't. You just kind of let things be what it
You
is,
drop
and
the
you
side
try to.
gig.
Yeah, you end up. You basically end up working 16, 17 hours a day
Hmm.
for to actually go play an hour show, because when you're bouncing back and forth between trying to run a company and trying to get everything at a venue, get everything set up, do sound checks, I'm filtering 10 calls a day from subcontractors. I mean, it's a lot of work, you know.
You did both.
I did both. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Signed jobs. I had basically stuff sent to me through emails and through everything else, and I would assign those jobs to guys, and
Okay.
just keep going.
Okay. That's
And I doing that now. I mean,
yes.
that's I'm still doing that.
Well,
So
you're still at it.
yeah, I'm still
Yeah.
at it.
You don't.
And so it's there is no as they say, no rest for the wicked.
Hmm.
But and that's true. So so basically, then after People Crush, uh, I hooked up with a guy from England named Ace Fincham, and he was the drummer for a pretty successful band over there called Tigertailz.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I hooked up with him. He moved back to the States, and we formed Tigertailz USA. And played a couple years under that, and had some fun. We just did Kenny Ozfest last year with that band. We played a few of the I don't know if you're familiar with the Rockin' Skulls, that they it's little festivals that they
Okay.
have, and they've had back and forth between Oklahoma, Texas, a lot in Illinois and stuff like. So we played a bunch of them with that band. Again, that band is still um, available also.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, Velvet Krush and Tigertailz USA we're still band. We still rehearse. We still, if people offer shows, we go play them.
Yeah.
So, uh, they're great bands, and they're fun to watch, and
So the
basically,
Tiger Tails, I remember Tiger Tails back probably when I was in high school. Am I right?
absolutely, yeah, big, uh, with Love Bang Baby or whatever, yeah,
Okay.
trying to
Was
think,
it kind of a Hanoi
yeah.
Rocks kind of thing?
Yeah, Hanoi Rocks kind of glam kind of situation. Very fun show. Uh, you know, the few shows that we have done with the band have, they've sold out everywhere we play. They've been sellout shows. So, you know, uh, not as kind of not as many as basically maybe me and Ace had thought. Because over there they're monsters. They're Motley Crue
Okay.
and Wells. I mean,
Uh-huh.
they headline all the big festivals and stuff when they were doing things over there. So probably not quite as known as much as I think Ace probably thought it was going to be. So so it kind of turns into a novelty, a little bit of a novelty show.
Yeah.
For if we got club owners that go, yeah, man, we know who they are, and we think we can pull it. It's kind of like, okay, well, have money, we'll travel,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's kind of where that is. And then, uh, so I guess we should probably move forward to where we're at, huh?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well, before that, this is
okay,
kind of a side note. Um, in the uh, in the whole pandemic thing, you had a little project called the Deplorables
yes, I did,
that you were playing
and
bass on.
I was playing bass on this.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
when did this? So you're always been a instrumentalist, like
Yeah,
in the back end.
yes. So yes, and a lot of the records that I call them records because I'm old. But
Yes.
a lot of the
You're
records that I,
recording your time.
yeah, uh, a lot of the records that I am on, I play a lot of the instruments on these records,
Okay.
and always have. It's just live I didn't because
You're the front man.
yeah, and I primarily, I've always been the kind of the lead songwriter on
Hmm.
most of this stuff too. So that being said, then a lot of the parts that I bring to the table, uh, that's kind of what I want on the
Hmm.
record. So a lot of times I'll record that stuff, and then the band learns it,
Okay.
and you know, so that's kind of how that
So
is.
the
But
Deplorables was kind of like, I guess, a pandemic,
it was,
like a
and
pandemic. It was,
project, I guess, if you
yeah,
want
well,
to
yeah,
say.
and it's,
But
yeah,
but but we
cool.
are still recording.
Yeah.
Uh, we still have 4 songs to finish
Okay.
uh, at Sonic Lounge Studios. We got most of that done, but we still have 4 songs
Okay.
that we haven't released yet from the Deplorables. And
Now, who's the guitar player in that band?
a guy named Paul Kress, and he back in the day in Columbus, he played for a band called Red Hot, and uh, a very good band here in Columbus.
Yeah.
And then, God, I wish I could tell you a couple of the other bands he was
Okay.
in, but uh, but I can't. But but he very good guitar player, man. Jeez, I mean, great tone, great riffs,
Yeah.
great lead player. You
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Old
yeah,
school, kind of like, I don't know, that a certain 70s,
yes,
the bridge of 70s and 80s.
yes, and he is a huge Montrose fan, which
Hmm.
obviously you can hear in his playing. You
Yeah.
know, and but what a fun project. And
Hmm.
and it still is. Like I
Yeah.
said, we're going to keep writing. I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't know if the project will ever see a stage. I
But
have
it
no
kept you.
clue
It
yet.
kept. I like. I love the growth I see. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it kept it going, even though it was in sketchy times.
yeah. We
Yeah.
just
So.
kept rocking, man. I mean, and I just feel like that's, as a musician and a writer, or so, I feel like that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You can't just stop. And and it's kind of one of those things where it, as is in life, as they say, you can't just stop.
Hmm.
Just you continue. You just keep pushing. You keep pushing. You keep pushing. And see what happens. You know.
Okay. So now
But
you get. I don't know, how did this whole um the gods resurrecting happen? Did you get a phone call from Mark?
oh oh yeah.
Was
Uh,
that was that was that how this?
Well, yeah, but
Or you
I
were
mean, we're gonna have to go backwards again if that's
okay?
okay
I'm
for
up.
a
Yeah.
second. Okay, how much time we got? We doing okay?
We're good. Yeah.
Okay, so again, as we said at the beginning of the story, 1988,
Yeah.
uh, Eric started me off,
Yes.
right? Okay, so in his visits back and forth to California to check on his prodigy child, I guess if you want to call me that, uh, you know, uh, we would sit around the apartment and we would play these songs, and we would party and party and get down, have some fun and play around, and so through this whole time that I was there, he would come 2, 3 times a year, and we would just play God's songs and play songs that he, was writing to go on further in life. So,
Mhm.
uh, as we kind of move forward, you know, we stayed in contact a lot.
Mhm.
And so 2018, uh, I get a call to come and see him. Uh, and so I did. And so basically, I get there, and he basically, tells me that uh, he's dying. Um,
Mhm.
he's yeah, he has bladder cancer. There's nothing really can be done, and it's over, you know. And I don't know how you're supposed to respond to stuff like that, you know. I just kind of okay, and still not knowing why I'm there, but it's
Well,
fine.
you probably
And then,
valued
you
your
know,
friendship.
yeah, you know, and so he basically, in Eric fashion, you know, he basically goes, uh, Sav, I want you to take the Godz. I want you to take my position in the Godz. I want the Godz music to stay alive. I want I want to stay alive in as far as in people's memories and so forth like that. And he said, you're the only person that's going to be able to do this. He said, because you understand me, you know what I'm wanting as far as a person fronting this band. He said, I don't want a clone. I don't want a person that's going to be like me, that's going to say the same things I said, is going to act like me. I want to be remembered for me, but I want the music to continue. And he said, I believe that you would do that for me. And of course, I go, sure. You know, I would love to do that, Eric. And so we do a blood brother situation where he cuts me wide open because it's Eric, and we do a blood brother thing, okay? And we you know, seal the deal. 2019 comes along, he passes, okay? What am I supposed to do with this, Rod? Am I supposed to just go out there and say, okay, this is what happened? I have no paperwork. I don't
Yeah.
own anything. This is just a thing between, you know, me and Eric.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so nobody's going to honor this. Nobody's going to want to come and see Sav's Godz. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a huge burden at this point of time. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep this promise. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of just like, I don't know what to do. So uh, somehow, you know, I have Keith Pickens, which is a super good friend of mine who I've known forever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, our drummer for Deplorables ended up going on the road with Joe Bonamassa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we were in the middle of that record. So I asked Keith if he would be interested in finishing the record for us, you know, helping us out or whatever. And of course, Keith said yes. And we did. So we're in there finishing this stuff up. And he's like, uh, Doug, uh, me and me and Mark are putting the Godz back together. And I was like, okay. And so that was about all that was said. So basically, once he said that, I just took off on a Godz song, Rod, because I'm just like, you know, whatever. You know, things happen the way they happen. So I take off on a Godz song, start playing it, and he like looks at me, and there's nothing else that got said. Okay. Well, 2 weeks later, I get a phone call, and it's Mark,
Okay.
and Mark's like, Doug, would you be interested in, you know, checking out what we got going on? And I was like, this is unbelievable. Uh, I mean, honestly, I'm floored. I'm like, how is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I would love to, you know. So I go, we play, and you know, Mark asked me if I would like to have the position, and to this day, I still can't wrap my head around how this all happened
Yeah.
because they would have. I
Sometimes,
mean,
sometimes you're not in control. It feels like,
yeah,
you know, like, because I know you're a businessman. You try to, and but sometimes there's something that's bigger
yeah,
that
and
it's you
apparently
don't.
this.
Yeah, this is one of
Yeah,
those things.
apparently this was bigger, Rod, because
Yeah.
I honestly had zero uh chance of being able to do this, and then it went from zero chance to you're in.
Yeah.
So uh so there you have it. so we're moving on then, from today. So we're in rehearsals now, getting the show down. We're basically doing everything off the first record. We're doing everything right now except for one song off the Mongolians record. We're doing a few of the I don't know how many we're doing, 3 or 4, I think, off of Nothing Sacred record. It's a great show. I
Mhm.
mean, if you are a machine, which that Eric called everybody the machines, and if you are
Yeah.
a machine, you're not going to want to miss the show. The
Mhm.
band is is sounds phenomenal. We're playing everything that everyone knows,
Yeah.
uh, and it's an absolute blast. Uh, we're absolutely having a blast right now doing this.
So
And
you guys are going to be debuting November 25th
25th at
at
the King of
King of
Clubs,
Clubs, yeah, in
in
Columbus,
Columbus,
Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
We have we have several bookings. They're not we haven't put them up on the site yet, so I'm going to have to kind of hold off until I'm telling you what's going on until they actually get posted, because
Hmm.
everything's kind of done in a timely
Yeah.
fashion right now. And but
So
we
the bigger question, it's not a one and done deal.
no, not
Okay.
not by
Because
a
it's,
long ways.
yes,
And to add to that is we actually are writing.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So yeah. So we are writing new material. But uh, I'm telling you, it's crazy to see a bunch of 50-plus-year-old guys in a rehearsal studio having as much fun as we're having right now, and it's just on top of that, uh, it sounds really great.
Hmm.
So, so it's not one of those things where, oh man, we're just going to have fun and blah, we're having a blast,
Hmm.
but the project sounds just unbelievable. And, so we're ready, man. The Godz resurrected. So,
That's
but,
wonderful.
yeah, we are looking
So for
forward to,
everybody, I say because a lot of people that see this know exactly who the gods are.
yeah,
They are in the Ohio, the Midwest. Their influence is everywhere
is everywhere.
because you talk to bands, even bands that do not appear to be godlike,
Yes.
like Sweet Savage.
And like Sweet Savage,
Sweet Savage is
I mean,
not. Um, they all tip their hats
absolutely.
to Eric Eric and Mark, and the
Yep.
gods showed them. They provided the blueprint. They're like the meta band of Ohio that
Yes.
because every musician I know from Ohio that I've interviewed, they all got their shit together
Yeah.
because
No,
they
it
had good influences.
no, the Gods, listen, the Gods left a great blueprint on how to be a successful rock and roll band. They really did. Now, did they follow that 100% themselves?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. You know,
The
for
detonate too. They showed you how to detonate the band too, but
but they showed you how to detonate the
yeah,
band. So, and like you said, a lot of people who have used that blueprint have been extremely successful in their careers because they knew how to do that, and that they knew how to promote, they knew how to write songs, they knew how to, uh, to get something off
yeah.
the ground that
They all,
looked bigger than life.
yes. In other
Yeah,
words, I tour the United States. You don't even have a record.
yeah,
We're gonna tour anyway.
yeah. Going to tour
Okay,
anyway.
okay, and then we build the demand for the record.
Yeah,
Okay, so that is something that yeah, that pattern is like in the performance. The performance
yeah,
is
and the
something.
performance is bigger
Yeah.
than life, no matter what. I mean, and in front of 10,000 people or in front of 20 people, you got the same show.
Yes.
And and that's something that people need to realize is that's how you stop playing in front of 20 people, is that that doesn't matter. Get out there and do your show, do your job,
Mm-hmm.
and you build it, they will come.
Yes.
But it has to be something that people are interested in, no matter what,
Yeah.
you know. And I think the Godz were just premier at doing that. They just built something interesting that people wanted to be a part of, and still do.
Yes.
So, you know,
So rock and roll is not dead.
no, God's rock and roll ain't
Well, the
dead.
other part of this, it's underground. It may be
Yeah,
underground, but it's not even underground because I've seen stadium bands. So it's uprising again. So this is
yeah.
wonderful.
Well, and it's cool because I was busting through, XM or whatever the other day, and I saw Duff, from Guns N' Roses. He's playing the Godz now.
Yeah.
Huge Godz fan.
Mhm.
So Bruce Kulick, huge
Mhm.
Godz. I mean, there's a lot of people that like you said remember and love this band.
I remember
And,
Crank and Keith. I was a WTPA. He had
yeah,
Metal Mountain back in the mid '80s. So that was the first. Got to keep it running.
yeah,
That
man,
was the first. That was the first. But that had to be 83, 82,
yeah,
83 that I heard of them.
yeah.
So, and I was
Monster, just a great. It's just going to be such a fun run, man. I'm telling you, I am actually having the time of my life. I'm having a better time in this band than I have probably in any band I've ever been in.
that's
And
wonderful.
so, hopefully that transforms into our live show, and people see that. People
Yeah, yeah,
see that. God, man, these guys are having a blast,
yeah.
and hopefully we get you know thousands of new machines,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
just keep going.
November 25th, King of Clubs,
Yes,
Columbus, Ohio.
yeah.
Waiting to
Get your
hear the Gods
get your
resurrected,
tickets. Yeah, get
going
your
on
tickets
tour
soon, though.
sometime. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah. This um, I mean, the balcony sold out of this place in less than an hour. So
Yeah,
there's some DA tickets available, but
yeah,
uh, I mean, I would not. If you really want to come and see this show, I would not drag my feet,
yeah, yeah.
because we are they're selling really fast.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Sav. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Rod.
At some other time, I want to talk to you about how to be a front man, but that's for
Oh
another
God,
day. That's for
yeah.
another day.
It's called a red G string and cowboy boots.
Okay, so
It's easy,
yeah,
no problem.
okay, yeah, yes.
So
Frontman college here. Okay. Thank you, guitar nerds. Thank you, guitar nerds. Thank you, Sav. Thank you, the Gods. Resurrected, Columbus, Ohio. Again, November 25th, King of Clubs. See ya.